Hello dear students, welcome to lecture on experimental stress analysis. Today I will be covering a fourth module, that is 3D photoelasticity. I am Mr. Bhavnesh Badigher from Mechanical Engineering Department, SGB Institute of Technology, Belagavi. Okay. The content of today's presentation is we'll be understanding what is 3D photoelasticity, what are the types of 3D photoelasticity, what is a stress freezing method, then what is the effect of temperature on these 3D photoelastic models, and a procedure for a stress freezing method we'll be understanding. Okay. What is a 3D photoelasticity mainly or basically we'll be understanding is this. Before getting into this concept, we have understood so far what is a 2D photoelasticity and how are the stress analysis is done on that, right? In the 2D photoelasticity, what used to happen is we used to take up a photoelastic component or a glass component, and we used to apply a certain load on that. Either it might be compression load or a tensile load. We used to apply load on that particular glass component, and we used to analyze how are the stress distributed on that particular component using the polariscope experiment. Okay, but in a 3D component, what happens, it will be very difficult if we use the same method. So for that we'll be using different concepts, and we'll be understanding the how are the stress distribution in the 3D model or 3D component. Okay, usually what happens in the 3D photoelasticity, we'll be taking up a frozen stress method, and we'll be understanding how are the model deformations in that, and those deformations will be locked into component, three loaded component. Then we'll be analyzing those stresses, right? Once those stress freezing is done, then the model will be slicing, and then photoelastically we'll be analyzing the how are the interior stress information in that particular component. Next we'll be understanding what is a frozen stress method. Okay, the concept of this was initially introduced by a German scientist Opel in the 1936. Okay, the foundation for this 3D frozen method is what we'll be doing is we'll be permanently locking the deformations that are occurring due to the applied load in the photoelastic model. There are basically four different techniques for the locking of this stress or deformations in the loaded model. That is, we'll be basically understanding stress freezing, then creep, what is a curing, then gamma ray irradiation methods. These are the mainly four techniques that will be used for the analysis of a 3D component or a stress freezing method. But in all these methods, what we are mainly doing is deformation of the model in the model at a molecular level or at a molecular scale. Then we are permitting the models to be sliced without relieving the locked in deformations. Okay, then stress freezing analogy, right? We'll be understanding the analogy for the stress freezing, then we'll understand the stress freezing for the actual model. Okay, in the usually whenever you take any polymeric material, what happens, there will be a diphase behavior in the component. So right, so here what we are doing is that stress freezing is illustrated by taking up a certain example. That is, we are taking a tensile simple tensile specimen, and we are locking up the stresses in that, and we're understanding how we are going through that. We'll be looking at it. Then initially what will be happening is we'll be taking up a tensile that is a spring component. We are placing it in a ball, whatever the component you are taking. Then we'll be pouring the water into that. Then we are applying a load on the that spring, right, at a certain conditions. Then usually what happens is whenever you will load a spring, it will be going down, right? At that time what we are doing is we are lowering the temperature of that water. Okay, we are lowering the temperature of that water. Then what happens is the there will be the water will be converting it into ice. When you lower the temperature of the water, what happens, it gets into ice. There what happens is there will be certain changes in the length of this particular spring. Okay, after completely the water is frozen, what we are doing is we are removing this weight. Okay, we are removing the weight, and at that time what happens is this spring will try to get back to its original position. So at that time what we will be doing is the complete resistance to there will be a complete resistance to the force applied. Initially force will be applying when we are removed it. After becoming ice, it will of course try to come back to its original shape, but because of that ice component it will not be getting to its original shape. So there we will be locking up the stresses, that is resistance to applied force, we call it as a stress. So those stresses will be locked inside the ice, right? That's what this analogy says. Then after that what we will be doing is we will be slicing this ice into separate parts. Then we'll be taking that for the analysis purpose, right? Now we'll move on to the actual stress freezing method. What happens in the actual model if you are taking up? We are taking whenever you take a photoelastic model, it will be having a diphase behavior, right? That is it will be having a primary bond and a secondary bond. Okay, the some molecular chains that are well bonded, we call those as a primary bonds. There will be a large number of molecules that are loosely bonded, we call those as a secondary bonds, right? When a polymer is at a room temperature, both sets of these molecular bonds will be try to resist the deformation. Usually primary bonds are very stronger bonds, and secondary bonds we call those as weaker bonds or a shorter secondary chains, we call it as we increase, as the temperature of this polymer is increased, what happens, the secondary bonds break down, and primary bonds in effect they carry the loads and also the temperature constitute the right, and there will be a deflection. The deflections with the primary bonds undergo are quite that will be very large yet elastic in nature, because it will be carrying up the same load. If the temperature of the polymer is lowered to a room temperature, again we are coming back to the original temperature, while the load is maintained, we are keeping up the load as usual, but we are lowering the temperature. At that time what happens, the secondary bonds will reform between the highly elongated primary bonds and serve to lock them into their extended positions, right? What happens, it will try to regain its original shape. Those secondary bonds will be tried to regain its original shape. Then when the load is removed, the primary bonds relax slightly, but significantly what happens is significant portion of their deformation is not actually recovered. Then the elastic deformation of the primary bonds is permanently, that will be completely locked into the body by the reformed secondary bonds, right? Then what happens, these deformations will be locked during that condition. So thus the deformation and accompanying birefringents are maintained in a small section cut from the original body. That means what we are doing is we are slicing the particular component into separate pieces, then we'll be analyzing as we did it for the ice and spring analogy, right? How does this temperature is affecting this fringe and also the uh, deformations? Okay, we'll be seeing through this graph. What happens at a certain temperatures between 90 to 120 degrees Celsius, there will be a sudden impact or sudden what we call it is immediate effect of a fringe can be analyzed at a so-called temperature critical temperature. The response of the model is almost immediate at these critical temperatures, and with the model sliced into plain sections for the analysis without disturbing the fringe pattern. That means what? At a temperature around 90 to 120 degrees Celsius, what happens? We are taking up the model and we are carefully cutting it to separate pieces and analyzing it. Then a procedure for the stress freezing process. How does this, as we saw it so far, I will just give a brief about this, how is this stress freezing occurring. Okay, initially what we'll be doing is we'll be taking up a model, okay, in an oven with a programmed temperature control. Then we'll be heating up the model relatively rapidly until the critical temperature is obtained or attained. Then we will be applying a certain required loads on that particular photoelastic model. Then we'll be soaking the model 2 to 4 hours until uniform temperature is acquired throughout the model. Then what we'll be doing again, we'll be cooling down the temperature and we'll be cooling down the temperature, but will be the loads will be as usual be applied. Then after some time we'll be removing the load and slicing the component, and after that we'll be analyzing the stresses that will be induced on this particular 3D photoelastic component. Okay, in the coming up class we'll be understanding what is the scattered light photoelasticity, and also what is this scattered light, how does this act as an interior analyzer and also the polarizer. Okay, thank you.